city of Shushan was ruled by a powerful king, such splendor and majesty. His name was King Ahasuerus. The king decided that he ought to display riches of his glorious kingdom and demonstrate his power by holding a feast for 180 days.
Whoa. Didn't people have jobs to do? Didn't they go to school? You can't have a party for 180 days. That's just silly.
Nevertheless, during the party, the king called for his beautiful wife, Queen Vashti, to stand before him so that everyone could admire her beauty. However, she refused. The king was enraged with anger, and after quickly conversing with his closest advisors, the 7 princes of Persia and Media, he issued a royal decree so that all wives will honor their husbands, and Queen Vashti was to never again come before the king. And so our story begins. Mordecai was a Benjamite Jew who raised his younger cousin Esther.
She would be remembered forever as a hero.
It's a bird. It's a plane. It's Super Esther. What did she do? Save the planet from a meteor?
Nope.
Did she rescue 1,000,000 kittens from a tree?
No.
Did she carry a bomb out of Gotham City on the Batwing so everyone wouldn't blow up, but you're not sure for like 5 minutes if she made it or not?
No, that's Batman. Come on.
Right. Still gets me every...
At the time, the Jewish people weren't really liked by the Persians. In fact, they had to live in exile, and they weren't treated very well at all.
Yikes, that's no good.
Esther was also an orphan, and she lived with her cousin Mordecai, who protected and raised her after her parents died.
Sweet beard, bro.
Then, one day, something happened that would change Esther's life big time.
Mordecai sat outside the king's gate. He overheard 2 doorkeepers plotting to kill the king.
He's a rotter. What a lousy king. No good so-and-so.
After reporting this plot to Esther, she then informed the king, and 2 men were hanged on the gallows. Thus, Mordecai's loyalty to the king was recorded in the Book of Chronicles.
There's another guy that works for the king named Haman, and he's a pretty bad dude. He hates the Jewish people, so much so that he actually brings an idea to the king that would be terrible, to kill all of the Jewish people.
Whoa, that's really rough. Like, surely the king doesn't go through with it, right?
Actually, Haman gets the king to agree and sets the plan in motion.
Wait, but if all the Jewish people are killed, that would be horrible. They're like God's chosen people, aren't they? And that's where Jesus would eventually come from. This can't happen. Somebody's got to do something.
And that's where Esther comes in. She can't stand the thought of seeing her people get wiped out by Haman's awful plan, but she doesn't know what to do.
I know what she should do. Time to lay down the law and tell the king not to do it. She probably kicked into mama bear mode and was all like, "Listen here, buddy."
Let me stop you right there. Keep in mind that this is like ancient Persia. You couldn't just approach the king whenever you wanted to, even if you had a reason. Anytime someone would just pop off to the king, they'd usually get a pop off themselves.
Jews cried out in mourning, and with much fasting, weeping, and wailing, they called on their God. Mordecai sent word to Esther, saying,
Do not think in your heart that you will escape the king's palace, any more than all the other Jews. For if you remain completely silent at this time, relief and deliverance will arise for the Jews from another place. But you and our father's house will perish. Yet who knows whether you have come to the kingdom for such a time as this?
Esther then responded, saying,
Go, gather all the Jews who are present in Shushan, and fast for me. Neither eat nor drink for 3 days, night or day. My maids and I will fast likewise. And so I will go to the king, which is against the law, and if I perish, I perish.
So Haman left the banquet filled with joy, but when he saw that Mordecai would still not bow before him, he became angry.
Queen Esther invited no one but me to come with the king to her banquet, and tomorrow I am invited again. But that sniveling, no-good nincompoop Mordecai still won't bow down to me.
Why don't you make some gallows and ask the king in the morning if it's okay to hang Mordecai on them, and then go on your merry little way to the banquet.
That night, the king could not sleep, and so he commanded that the book of the Chronicles be read to him. When he heard the matter of Mordecai's loyalty to the king regarding the 2 doorkeepers who plotted to kill him, he asked,
What honor has been bestowed to Mordecai for his loyalty? Nothing, your majesty.
All right, here we go. Showtime.
But she was still too nervous.
Goodness gracious, you weren't kidding when you said her feelings were freaking out.
Totally. She was feeling all kinds of things, even questioning if the whole thing was a mistake. But her cousin Mordecai encouraged her and reminded her that what God says is more important than her fears and doubts, and he told her something that she would never forget. Esther, you were put here for such a time as this.
Yeah, come on, Esther, you got this.
Esther had dinner with the king again, and the moment came for her to ask her question. She took a deep breath, and she went for it. She pleaded with him not to go through with Haman's plan to kill the Jews. She finally told him that she was Jewish herself, and if Haman's plan goes through, that she would have to die too.
Man, Esther is one tough cookie. What happened next?
The king was moved by Esther's request and agreed to what she asked. He immediately got rid of Haman and canceled the plan to wipe out the Jewish people.
Yeah, you did it, Esther.
The king also gave all of Haman's wealth and property to Esther and Mordecai. Not
the plans of the wicked man Haman came back on his own head. The king promoted Mordecai to rule over all that Haman possessed, and a new written decree was sent throughout all the kingdom, instructing the Jews to protect their lives against all who would attack them on the 13th day of the 12th month, which is the month of Adar. This day became known as Purim.
For Wonder Woman, Esther can take you any day.
Esther decided to put her trust in who God said she was more than what she felt. And because of that, her entire country was saved. The end.